Hey, what's up everyone? Snoke here for Lightspeed Saber League, the world's fastest light-based fencing. And on today's video, I would like to talk about the Star Wars sequel trilogy. Now, there's been a lot of negativity associated with the sequel trilogy, especially with the release of The Rise of Skywalker. You can't go on YouTube and look up Star Wars without finding a negative review of The Rise of Skywalker. And, I'll be honest with you, I'm generally in line with most critics. That's kind of my general movie perspective. But given that this is the end of the Skywalker saga and the last time that we're going to see some of these characters for a long time, and in fact some of these characters literally for the last time, I like to go on a more positive note. So this is going to be my list of the top 9 best things about the Star Wars sequel trilogy. Now, of course, this is not a definitive list, it's just my opinion. I mean, I'm always right, of course. Regardless though, go ahead and go down in the comments and argue about it, try to be nice. And after the video, I will tell you about my new hashtag, Rise4Rose. So let's go ahead and get the video started. Number 9, The Return of the Emperor. I absolutely adored the Emperor in Revenge of the Sith. Ian McDiarmid is so good at playing the character. He's always got that gravitas, that enthusiasm. No matter how silly or long-winded or unwieldy the lines are.
The dark side of the Force is a pathway to many abilities some consider to be unnatural.
He's always great at delivering them. I think someday in the future, if George Lucas is ever writing anything, they should just clone Ian McDiarmid and have him play all the characters. I do really regret that I don't have this up higher on the list, as I do love the characters so much. Unfortunately, I think his re-entry into the series is not necessarily the best idea, but even given that they did it, it seemed like an afterthought. You know, he's reintroduced in the crawl, and right in the very opening minutes of the film, it just seems sort of haphazard. So I really don't feel they did the character justice, but regardless, I was happy to see him. So, Emperor at number 9. Number 8, BB-8. I think one of the smartest things they did for The Force Awakens was to reintroduce us to the world of Star Wars with an incredible feat of engineering, and that being BB-8. A little droid that moves around in a type of locomotion that no one had ever seen before. And even though I do understand how he works now, it's still just a marvelous piece of machinery. Plus, he's so cute. In Force Awakens, my favorite scene is when he does the thumbs up with Finn with the lighter. I did find that he was a little bit overpowered in The Last Jedi. He did apprehend multiple guards and then stole an AT-ST. But as Princess Leia said, you should never underestimate a droid. Number 7, Finn and the Stormtrooper Children. One of the really cool things about the Star Wars Expanded Universe is the ability to deep dive on concepts that are only lightly touched upon in the film franchise. And the introduction of Finn and the origin of some stormtroopers as brainwashed child soldiers is an example of this. All too often, horrendous crimes are brushed aside in the Star Wars film franchise as if they never really happened. In A New Hope, Alderaan is wiped out and Leia doesn't even have one moment on camera to grieve for it. Both Kylo Ren and Darth Vader got to be redeemed despite the huge amount of blood that is on their hands.
Sir, the villagers.
Kill them all.
And today, kids walk around Galaxy's Edge dressed as stormtroopers and Kylo Ren as if they aren't cosplaying space Nazi mass murderers. Now, I'm not saying that we need to be watching Space Schindler's List, but I do think it's a good idea to have started to get the foot in the door about presenting more mature themes into Star Wars films. Number 6, seeing our old heroes again. So I was rewatching The Force Awakens the other day, and I'm at the end of the movie and I'm watching Luke turn around slowly, and I'm thinking to myself, man, this is a genius bit of filmmaking, because even now, even though I've already seen this before, even though I already know that he doesn't say a word, I am still so excited by this scene. And when I watched The Last Jedi, in the scene where Yoda appears in the foreground, and he's not totally in camera and he's a little bit blurry, but you know who that is. And I remember being really excited in the theater, and I just was kind of bouncing in my seat almost, and I turned to my girlfriend, I just start slapping her and on the shoulder. I was just so excited to see these characters again. The most important thing for these films is and was to focus on the new characters, but seeing Lando and Leia and Luke and Han and Chewie, all these characters, again, it felt great regardless, especially when this is the last time that we're gonna see them again. Number 5, Snoke is a BAMF. Snoke is my favorite character in the entire sequel trilogy. He doesn't do a whole lot in The Force Awakens, but he really comes into his own in Episode 8. I loved every scene that he was in, even the throne room scene where he gets killed for talking mad shit. But the scene that I really love the most is when he's talking to Kylo Ren before he takes off his mask and destroys it. Boy is talking like a mondo asshole to Kylo Ren, and I absolutely love it. Andy Serkis is so underrated, he really brings that character to life.
The mighty Kylo Ren. When I found you, I saw what all masters live to see. A new Vader.
I've given everything I have to you.
Take that ridiculous thing off. You are unbalanced. Bested by a girl who would never held a lightsaber. You failed!
Now you might think I'm upset that he got killed off in Episode 8, but I'm not. You know, he's talking shit. He had to get stomped out. So, you know, burn bright, burned out. Makes sense to me. Number 4, the expansion of Force powers. I'm actually not that familiar with the extended universe, so any Force powers I see on screen are likely Force powers that I'm becoming familiar with for the first time. So when I saw The Force Awakens and I saw Kylo Ren freeze the blaster bolt, that was gnarly, okay? I saw that in 3D, and you know they filmed that just for 3D, but that was so awesome. The cool stuff continued on in The Last Jedi when they introduced Force timing, which I thought was really creative. I loved how the worlds kind of mingled together ever so subtly. And they introduced the idea that some Force abilities are so incredible and taxing that it could actually kill you. And then it is taken to its logical conclusion by Luke when he Force projects onto Crate and appears in front of hundreds of people. And then that is further taken to its logical conclusion in The Rise of Skywalker, which did a great job of carrying those new Force powers over, wherein Rey literally gives her own life force to other creatures, ultimately for Kylo Ren to give his life to save Rey's. Number 3, Rey and the Last Jedi twist. If you're familiar with the way that George Lucas wrote the prequel trilogy, then you know that he wrote it to rhyme with the original trilogy, meaning that there were supposed to be certain beats that would be similar to the original 3-story arc. And given how similarly written the sequel trilogy is to the original trilogy, then you can bet that they were aiming for the same rhyming scheme. Now, given that Empire Strikes Back is reputed to be one of the greatest Star Wars films of all time, how exactly was Last Jedi ever supposed to live up to it? Especially given the fact that Empire Strikes Back contains one of, if not the most infamous movie twist of all time, that being the parentage of Luke Skywalker. Now, The Last Jedi was ultimately going to be about Rey's parentage, and so this movie was already going in aping The Empire Strikes Back. Add the fact that since The Force Awakens, people had spent 2 years speculating on her parentage, so that was going to make it extra hard to really fool anybody. I think ultimately, Episode 8 does an amazing job not only surprising everyone, but also telling a thematically and emotionally resonant story about Rey's parentage that makes sense. For Rey's part, she really represents an inversion of the theme of parentage, which is so prevalent in the original trilogy. She spends all of Force Awakens and The Last Jedi trying to understand her parents, search for her parents, wait for her parents, looking for parental figures in others, and trying to find her place in this story. For her to discover, nay, reveal to herself.
Do you want to know the truth about your parents? Or have you always known? And you just hidden it away? You know the truth. Say it.
They were nobody.
They were filthy junk traders who sold you off for drinking money.
That she's a nobody and that she comes from nothing and her parents were nobodies is a devastating moment, is the low point of that character's character arc, and it is played so brilliantly by Daisy Ridley. It is a beautiful scene in The Last Jedi when that happens. It remains one of my favorite scenes of the entire sequel trilogy. Number 2, Kylo Ren. You know, I really like Rey, I think she's a great character, but if I'm being honest, Kylo Ren kind of steals the show from her. Kylo Ren is a really good character. He's well acted, well written, and well designed. I didn't start to appreciate Adam Driver as Kylo Ren until after I saw The Rise of Skywalker and was able to appreciate the whole series in its totality. Not only that though, Adam Driver was working with really good material. From the moment you see Kylo Ren in The Force Awakens, you wonder who he is and what he can do, both of which are revealed, but then you're left with more questions as to why he's being pulled to the light and the dark. Why is he on the dark side in the first place, and what does he want? He's such a wonderfully mysterious character. But I want to look at Kylo Ren at a more fundamental level, and which is at how he is designed. He is a Vader-esque character, but he is not Vader. He's a remix of Vader. Where Vader was calm, cool, and collected in his menace and his terror, Kylo Ren is angry, volatile, belligerent, and unpredictable, which is further reflected almost poetically in his lightsaber, which is unstable. It has exhaust ports to vent out excess energy. It is such a cool design, not only in the way the saber looks and the way it functions, but also in how he uses it too. Kylo Ren is not a particularly artful person. He's not an artful fighter. When he fights, he swings wildly and he swings hard, but it makes sense. That's who he is. And that's just another reason why Kylo Ren is such a good character. And I think ultimately, even though Snoke was my personal favorite, Kylo Ren is overall the best character for the entire trilogy series. Number 1. Okay, I know this is gonna be controversial, but I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. The Last Jedi makes the rest of the series better. Yes, The Last Jedi elevates the rest of Star Wars, and it does that by examining the Force and the Jedi with an honest eye. I liken this to the way that Christopher Nolan's Batman grounded superhero stories to make them more realistic and believable. And that's exactly what The Last Jedi did for me. It made the story make more sense, made it more realistic and more relatable. While training Rey, Luke explains to her that the Force isn't something that the Jedi own. That is something they've come to believe out of hubris and arrogance. Indeed, the Jedi will say, "May the Force be with you," like it's a good thing. But we all know that the Force is used by good guys and bad guys alike. So how is this a good thing? The Force is just a neutral tool used by anybody. So when the Jedi read a prophecy about bringing balance to the Force, they automatically assume that it's a good thing for them. But in fact,
a prophecy that misread could have been.
The Force is a two-sided coin, and they're on the side of the Force that is out of balance. There's too damn many of them. That means that they're the ones who are going to get killed, and that is exactly what happens. Ultimately, this means the Jedi bring about their own destruction. The thing about the prequels is they don't really spell this out for you. By the end of Revenge of the Sith, the movie is primarily concerned with transitioning into A New Hope rather than making sure that you got the message. After all, it is a pretty subversive message, and I'm pretty sure that anyone who went to watch the film, they probably weren't entirely sure if that was supposed to be the message. Luke's analysis of the Jedi makes it clear that what you were watching was the failure of heroes. And ultimately, that analysis makes the world of Star Wars smarter and richer and more profound, and to me, far more human and relatable, because failure is human. Alright, and that was my list, the top 9 best things about the sequel trilogy. Did you like it? Did you dislike it? Agree, disagree, whatever? Go ahead and let me know in the comments. And let me take this moment to talk to you about the Rise for Rose project. Hashtag Rise for Rose. This is a special project for Kelly Marie Tran, the actress who played Rose Tico in The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker. In case you didn't know, Kelly Marie Tran was viciously bullied after The Last Jedi, simply for doing her job. Whether you like the movie or not, or whether you like the character or not, should have no reflection at all on the actress who is just doing what she's being paid to do. So all the bullying, all the harassing that went on against her online that caused her to pull off the internet completely is completely wrong. That's bad enough. What I want to address today is the fact that she is completely snubbed in The Rise of Skywalker. Rose Tico gets about 80 seconds worth of film time in Rise of Skywalker. There may be plenty of good reasons for her not to be there, but it's not a good look considering how badly she was treated before that, and then for her to now barely be in the film. That doesn't sit well with me. I think it's wrong. And at the very least, being a lightsaber league, the very least we can do is to try to do something about this. So, the Rise for Rose project is a GoFundMe to build a custom lightsaber with a Rose Tico theme and gift it to Kelly Marie Tran. We'd like to get this done by May the 4th, so it's a bit short on time, but I believe we can pull something off. I'm looking at about $2,500 to build something very nice, but we will go ahead and build with whatever money that we can gather. I know some talented people who can do a lot with very little, so there's no problem with that. But I would love to get the saber etched and weathered and powder coated and looking really, really nice so that we can present this to her in thanks for her contributions to Star Wars and our Star Wars galaxy. So anyway, any amount that you can contribute will be great. Again, we are going to roll with it with whatever we can get. So if you just got a couple bucks to spare, then that is just fine, okay? Please share this with everyone, any Rose Tico fans you know of, any Star Wars fans you know of. Please let people know about this. I would really, really like to be able to do this as a way to give back to our community and the people who have helped to enrich our lives with just, you know, wonderful pop culture and, you know, science fiction and everything. So once again, hashtag Rise for Rose. We'll have it up on our Twitter. Oh, and the GoFundMe is gofundme.com/rise4rose with the number 4. I couldn't get the URL. Regardless, I will put it down there for you guys to grab. Anyway, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope that you will contribute to the Rise for Rose project. I will see you guys in the next video. This has been Kank Snow for Lightspeed Saber League. Thank you, and may the Force be with you. Or not.
Skywalker lives. The seed of the Jedi Order lives. As long as it does, hope lives in the galaxy. I thought you would be the one to snuff it out.